Welcome to the Harmonious Family Life, how to create deep connections, transform your family and live with confidence and grace. My name is Ulrika Bilby and my mission is to transform families to help them navigate the landscape of creating a harmonious family life, where we all can thrive individually and together, using our strength and unique skills. And today I will be speaking with John Tucker. John is an ADHD coach, frequently acting as a mediator on behalf of clients within family settings. He also works with adults and adolescents along the autistic spectrum. Welcome, John. Thank you for taking the time today to come and speak with me on this important topic.
Well, thank you very much, Ulrika, for the opportunity. I love talking about this stuff.
Yes. So ADHD, I have my own personal experience about ADHD, and I know the struggles it can be and also the good things that comes out of it as well. For our audience, could you just tell me a little bit about ADHD and how the brain works a little bit differently?
Sure. With ADHD, the connection between the prefrontal cortex and the earlier brains, the limbic system, is not particularly strong. We think of the prefrontal cortex as the orchestrator, the coordinator, the conductor, and it doesn't do that very well. In fact, typically what will happen is you will have a thought, an idea, something important to do, and your amygdala will jump up and interfere with it. And what happens is your brain sabotages itself. So you can be in the middle of doing something mom wanted you to do, that you decided to do, and bing, something happens and you're distracted and it's lost. In an unfortunate situation, mom or dad might think you're disrespectful or you don't care or you don't love them anymore, and they might get annoyed. Now, when they get annoyed and respond, that creates a new barrier because that's an emotional source of distraughtment. I don't know if that's a word or not, but it affects you, you know. So the absolute worst way for parents and teachers to help a child with ADHD is to yell and scream at him to try to do better. The report cards of the world are littered with miles and miles of the comment, so-and-so could do better. So-and-so shouldn't be as distracted. I hear that a lot. Now, it's not about distraction. I think it's more about, when you talk about harmony, I think empathy is the key to harmony. So anyway, I don't mean to blab on and on. Once you turn me on, I just go on and on about this stuff.
That's perfect. No, you're just welcome to just speak. Absolutely. So, so what you're saying is then that, you know, that you think that the child is not doing what you want them to do, or the person, because hold on, even if you are growing up, of course, it will stay with you. And it's not that you don't want to.
No, it's that your brain doesn't seem to let you, or it makes you forget the intent of what you do. It's common for my clients to say, I got up, I went to head across the room to make a coffee, and half the way across the room, I forgot why I got up.
Yes.
I lose track of it.
Because then you get another thought in your head, and then you do that instead. And then when you go on to do that, then you think about something else, and then you go and do that. And then in the end,
there can be a very large series of these. I actually got a text message this morning from my son about him. He took a little tiny movie of my granddaughter, and her mom had her dressed up to be outdoors, and it was wet. And the little 1.5-year-old started walking in a puddle and splashing. And her mom said, oh, would you like to go splishy splashy? Yes, splash, splash, splash. Whoa, good for you. And I had to say to her, no, I said, that's exactly what you say to a kid when they're playing. Good for you, good playing, enjoy. So another parent, a more concerned and conscientious parent might say, oh, you might get your boots dirty or you might fall over. No, no, no. That's the wrong thing. Instead, enjoy.
Yes.
And I thought that was a perfect example of a great mother who celebrated the child's exploring and finding stuff. I mean, I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah,
So
that is
that actually, yeah, that to me is a kind of a microcosm of exactly how you raise a child, and kind of an indicator how you treat your husband or your wife, how you treat your grandchildren, how you treat your anywhere you find this diversity, and maybe it even goes beyond diversity, if you're gracious, if you're empathetic, and a key word to me is respectful. So when parents are saying, I don't know, I can't get Joey to do this, I can't get Sheila to do that, what am I going to do? I said, never mind love, focus on respect. This person is going to be not 17 or 7, but they will be 37. How are you going to treat them at 37? Are you going to be kind? Are you going to say, naughty, naughty, don't splash? They're 37 years old. No, you're going to be reticent about trying to make them change their behavior. So instead you respect them as individuals. Well, that's true for almost every, well, it's true for every age. As far as I'm concerned, it's true for every age. Even when you have a little baby in diapers, you still have to respect their personhood, their right to be cared for, their right to be treated with, you don't abuse an infant just because they can't fight back. You still respect them, whatever level of development they've reached. It's tricky for parents to get hold of this because the common barrier for parents is, oh, but if I don't do this, he'll keep doing this bad thing, or the school won't, the school keeps telling me, oh, he didn't get his homework done. What am I going to do? How much can I punish him? Can I punish him enough? I said, listen, how well for 14 years has the punishment worked? Hasn't worked at all. And you're still doing it. You're still making them stand in the corner. They're 15 years old. You're taking away their phone. You're making them stand in the corner. You're not letting them outdoors. Has it ever worked? Never. Okay. Who's got the problem? Right? So the parent keeps trying something that hasn't worked. And what absolutely never seems to work is roughness, abuse, disrespect, yelling, screaming, all this militaristic kind of noise about behavior. It seems to me the key to these things are compassion and empathy. What you want to do, I think, as a parent, is to convey to your child, you have a right to be here. I'll treat you with dignity. I will treat you with respect. In fact, I'll show you what respect is like, because I'll be respectful to the environment. I'll be respectful to you, to my spouse, and I will demonstrate for you how it is to be a person of compassion and caring and dignity.
Yeah, so important. And really, I think that's exactly right. You need to show by example. It doesn't work if you want the child to do this unless you show respect yourself and compassion towards your child. But then it's difficult if you then don't maybe then understand your child if they are working in a different way. So what do you recommend parents that find themselves in this situation when they don't understand what's going on, and when the children is not doing what they are supposed to do, or even when they're getting a little bit older, up to teenagers and above?
Excellent question, and reasonable, because of course you might be compassionate and you might be girl-like and leader-like, and they might get in trouble for doing stuff that doesn't work well. So what often happens when parents come to me with this is they've said, well, I tried your way. I tried being nice and it didn't work. So I think I'm going to have to go back and get a bigger stick, to get that thinking going. And I said, well, there's a different model of behavior. Your child comes home, this principal has called, they said a bad word and they did something really bad at school. And so now we have this problem. Okay, you can join with the school in condemning the child's behavior and just become another part of the problem, or you can take this position. Here we are, Junior. I see we have a problem with school. How can I help you deal with this problem? What you swore? Oh, you hit Sally and you pulled her pigtails and dumped her, whatever. You did something bad. Oh, wow, you must have been really upset. What can we do to make it different for you next time? Like, I would prefer that parents took a position alongside their child in dealing with whatever slings and arrows of outrageous fortune were making their child feel badly, and then say, oh, so you really lose patience, you were hungry, or whatever. They can uncover things, and it's more of a compassionate inquiry, like Gabor Mate talks about endlessly, or a journey toward what works best, what's kind, what's considerate, and so on. So I've gone a long way around the question, but instead of joining the school in condemnation, or the neighbor, or the screaming person outside, you say, we have a problem. Let's see what we can do to make this better. We need to make we need to face the consequences. We need to do better. We need whatever the case, whatever it is.
Yeah. So talking to the child then is better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also, if they, because that is one of the issues as well, is that, if you have ADHD, some you get angry maybe a little bit easier.
Yep.
And then not
Yep.
to escalate together with the child.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need a lot of compassion and a lot of patience, and parents, you won't always be able to do this. Sometimes you will get angry. Sometimes you'll blow your stack. And then once you recognize that you said things that were unkind or something, you say, like an honest person, you say, look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so whatever it was I was. So, if we make a mistake, we acknowledge it and we recognize it. You know what? Stuff happens, and I hope you'll forgive me for, throwing your chocolate cake out the window or whatever they did. And then try to pick up the pieces, and they'll see how you recover from something that didn't go the way you planned.
So being a little bit, maybe not being a perfect parent, you say that, you say that you're sorry, and be a little more compassionate, like that is what you would then recommend to your clients.
Actually, that gives me a great idea. Avoiding being the perfect parent is probably good. Yeah, you don't want to set yourself up as some sort of paragon of virtue that the child can't. I have clients like that who can't ever live up to the model their parents have set. That actually is a source of a problem. So having integrity and honesty is probably more valuable. Look, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I did it wrong. Sue me, whatever. Yeah, so I like that you introduced that word perfect into this conversation, because that's something to avoid, because it's not natural.
No one is perfect.
No.
Yeah.
No, and actually, you can teach a young child or a teenager, or a 47-year-old child, that no one is perfect, and therefore they don't have to beat themselves up for not being perfect. In other words, they may have imposter syndrome in themselves. They may feel incompetent, inadequate. Okay, you feel those feelings, they're honest. Have the feeling, let it sit there. What does it tell you? Oh, I could do this better. Okay, you can do it better. Do you have to also feel badly about yourself? No. You don't even have to be worried about feeling anxious. It's weird, but a person can have anxiety. Anxiety is natural, normal, reasonable. A person can grieve the death of a friend, perfectly normal and reasonable. Acknowledge the feeling, it's just a feeling. But what we can do for our ADHD folk is to teach them not to feel bad for having feelings. Not a problem. Feelings are not a problem.
Is that something that you say is normally the issue, that they would feel bad about having feelings, or are they feeling more? Are they more sensitive, or how is that?
I'm not quite sure I understand your question, but let me take a piece of it. What I find with my clients is that they're having feelings, and they feel feeling capable, and they can't do their homework, so they feel like, oh, what a dummy I am. I can't do my homework. Why can't I pay attention? Let me try harder. And of course, trying harder is the opposite of what ADHD needs to do.
Mm.
Trying hard sets up a resistance in your brain. I must do better. I must do better. No, you won't. So typically, I'm always with my clients seeking smoother, gentler, organic ways to slide from one place to the next. I have trouble doing this project. Well, maybe the last time it didn't work so well. Okay, what can we pick apart? So actually, I'm fond of attempting to use the prefrontal cortex to analyze the information that the amygdala is sending up. Okay, you feel afraid. It's a big tiger. You should be afraid. That's a great idea. Be afraid. Get out of there.
Yes.
It's not necessarily bad information that you're getting from the emotions. Trouble is with ADHD, emotional sabotage happens so much that many people who come to me have lived on the edge of anxiety and depression for so long, they just don't know a way out of it. So that's true for young children. So parents should recognize that they're particularly sensitive to things that make them feel bad, because their feeling bad will be amplified by a condemning word or a nasty look or a rolling of the eyes. They'll feel worse. It won't just pass. It'll affect them.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit more about things that, because I'm not sure if we touched on this, maybe we should talk a little bit about it, how you could feel a bit overwhelmed in your head, like it's so much information that you lose concentration easier, or if it's a lot of noise, you might feel like you're overloaded. Can you talk a little bit about that?
ADHD has its gain button turned up. Heightened sensitivity seems to be part of the package. Many years ago when I was in the Navy, we had big machines for communication, huge big boxes, great big boxes. There was a volume button, a channel selector, and a gain button. Now, a gain button, you turn this up to get more clarity, to get rid of static. So there'd be Portugal would be sending you a message or something to your ship, and you hear dial the gain away so the message comes through clearly. ADHD doesn't have control over the gain button. The noise is everywhere. So very often, folks with ADHD will discover, if I wear my noise canceling headphones everywhere, I'm in better shape. And some people do. Yeah. Camilla Pang, P-A-N-G, who's a brilliant young PhD researcher in London, wears her headphones everywhere. She wrote a book, I forget what it's called now, but if people want to look her up, she's really clever. She's got autism and ADHD, Camilla Pang. She wears these kind of things everywhere she goes because there's just too much noise. Distracts her, it stops her from thinking. Sometimes people can set up their ability to work by having the environment designed for them. In some cases, that might mean a really quiet little study cubicle like libraries used to have, where walls, like three little walls around you so you can totally focus. Some people, many people actually, find it a problem if it's a little too quiet. So a clever company called Coffeetivity developed an app which you can get for free on iPhone called Coffeetivity, which makes the noise of a coffee shop burbling away in the background. So if you're in a really quiet space, this coffee kind of allows you, it is in effect similar to stimulant medication, but it's not medication, it's just noise. You need a certain amount of noise very often if you have ADHD in order to focus your attention. Too quiet is because then the noise of your brain kicks in. So you need this other noise to act. Yeah, it's kind of, and you'll often see folks with fidget toys, fiddling with a pen or a pencil. They'll go like this with their hand or something. That's good, helps them concentrate. Tapping their foot helps them.
Yes.
The worst thing you can do to a neighbor with ADHD is to reach over and put your hand on their hand to make them stop tapping their pencil. Gets on your nerves, but they need it.
I'm guilty of that. I've done that because the tapping of the leg, but it's because you don't know. So
Yeah.
when you get your eyes open to this and you see these things, you then can maybe then help the person with ADHD to, for example, allow them to have the headphones on, or
Yeah.
allow them to get a warning, I'm going to put on the vacuum cleaner so they can move out of the way. To just help the family to be a bit more, quieter and calmer space, because otherwise they might not know why they're getting all flustered because it's too noisy or too much going on.
Well, that's a very good point. Folks with ADHD don't necessarily know what the problem is. There may be too much noise in the house, and they may not realize why they're getting flustered. And so, but once you're a parent that's knowledgeable about the effect of the vacuum cleaner, you say, well, let me be a bit mindful about this. When I make this huge racket, everybody's going to be upset, or Josephine's going to be upset, so maybe I'll warn her or whatever.
Yeah, that could be helpful. The other ways of being helpful, I thought maybe I'll finish off asking you this. If you have ADHD and it's difficult to sit still, for example, is there any way of helping, exercise, or what would be a good way to actually help a person with ADHD to calm themselves down or be able to cope more better? Is it exercise, or any certain type of exercise, or
well,
find something?
I wish there was a pat answer, but what I discovered is it varies slightly from person to person. No question, good diet and exercise and all the various features of a healthy lifestyle can help your brain, as well as your body, as well as having friends can help your brain. All the things that lead to a good, healthy life can make you better. In terms of, say, a specific thing like getting someone to stop tapping their foot, I would tend not to worry about stuff unless it's interfering. If something somebody's doing has a nasty impact on somebody else, then I would try to reason with this person who's kicking the back of the car seat, say, driving mom crazy. Look, you're driving me crazy with the back of it. You're going to have to just be honest and say, you got to figure out, kick daddy's car seat or something else.
Yeah, so maybe then identifying also what it is that's driving you crazy, and then say that, for example, instead of just saying, oh, I'm going crazy, identify what is it. Well, it's actually you kicking the back of my chair. Do you mind stopping, or find something else to do? Because it could also be that they're not noticing that they are doing it.
That's right. It's possible. Honesty is certainly safer there, because you will be irritated by the back of your chair, and finally you will say something you don't intend to say, having a consequence you didn't really intend to have, but then you've caused damage where you didn't need to if you just said what was wrong at the first. So I think underpinning that is straightforwardness, and honesty is kind of better than manipulating and playing games with this sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I was just wondering, it was really interesting to just talk to you, and so happy that you were here today. Is there any final words that you want to share? Anything that you think that we haven't touched upon that could be good to know?
There is always room for compassion. And I think whatever is happening in your family, if you can find a way to talk graciously with one another about it, it will be better than if you try to find some fast way. So compassion and communication are key issues. Yeah.
Nice final words. Well, thank you so much, John, for being here. Thank you for the chance. Yes. You're welcome. Okay. Bye. Thank you.